Good day, my name is Christel from Frans, the Klerk Independent Technical Analyst. JPMorgan News wanted us to look at CalgroM. What is positive is firstly, our MACD has changed that signal line into a support. That means the bullish trend towards the share has been confirmed. Higher lows is definitely visible since that week of the 13th of March. Every time the share pulled back, the low was a little bit higher and a little bit higher. What is very important and positive as well is the fact that that red line, my 40-week moving average, has changed into a support. That means the long-term sentiment towards the share is positive. I have to, though, however, highlight this possible head and shoulder formation. And that is waiting at R2.71. That is a critical level that has to remain in place to make sure that this does not confirm a head and shoulder formation. So the next strong resistance is waiting at R3.35, and that has to be overcome, and then waiting at R3.39 and then R3.91. 290 can be used as a protection level, or that 285 critical level of that higher low should you want to protect capital. Tina's wanted us to look at platinum. Oh, no, excuse me. Tina's, I'm sure you're not listed. I apologize. Platinum. Let's go back to a candle graph because I want to highlight this a gravestone doji candle. Long tail at the top implies selling pressure. And very important, this high waiting at $1,124 is a little bit lower than the high of $1,124 the week of the 24th of April, and then the 17th of April, that high of $1,133. Got a little bit of a green candle this week so far. Remember, these are weekly graphs, but we can see there is signs of loss of momentum with this gravestone doji candle, clearly showing that the high of last week was $1,124, and they've managed to push the platinum price down all the way to close at $1,056. Now I want to highlight and zoom a little bit out, because what is also important to note, Tinas, is the fact that this high is a little bit lower than this high, and that is seen as negative as well. A very important support on the platinum price that needs to remain in place is waiting, and I'm going to give you that exact level, is $906. Why do I say that? Because this can become a possible double top formation, which can take my platinum price a lot lower, assuming that that false formation plays out. The platinum price needs to get above $1,124 and especially above $1,133 in order to sustain the momentum to the top. Very important, my 40-week moving average is a support, and that is waiting at $977. The long-term sentiment towards my platinum price will be positive and remain bullish as long as that level remains a support. My MACD is also losing a little bit of steam. That is seen as negative. However, the bullish trend is still in place with those bars trading above the signal line of my MACD. So if you want to consider some profit taking at this stage, yes, nothing wrong with that. But as I've given those levels through, those are the levels of resistance and support that you can use to help with your decision making. $977, that 40-week moving average, is a critical level. Why do I say that? Because if we look back at the history, look at it. This was a clear, either a support or a resistance every single time the platinum price had to decide, listen, are we bullish or bearish about it? And as soon as it became a support, beautifully rallied, and then it tested it again for about 3 weeks, changed it beautifully into a support, and then higher lows. So don't disregard this 40-week moving average and on the platinum price. It's a critical level that needs to remain in place. Kevin wanted us to look at Tesla. Also, obviously, one of the market favorites in the US. Beautiful pullback. My MACD is about to change that signal line into a resistance or start to trade below it. That means the bearish trend towards Tesla will be confirmed. We are currently below the 40-week moving average already. We can see it's been tested there back in August last year till September. There was not enough buyers to change this 40-week moving average into a support. Again, tried very close to get close to the 40-week moving average, could not. In that week of the 13th of February, again in the week of the 27th of March, just not enough buyers to get it through. And it keeps on making lower highs. Let's hope that this beautiful dragonfly doji candle with the long tail at the bottom in the week of the 24th of April is the turnaround candle that we've been waiting for to sustain the momentum to the top and make this a possible cup and handle formation with two handles by the looks of things, assuming that the momentum to the top will continue. My 40-week moving average waiting at $197.46 is not far away from that neckline at, I'm going to give that exact level, $207.79. That highlights the resistance in that range that needs to be overcome and change into a support. The critical level that needs to remain a support in order to make this a possibility, the optimism of this around this cup and handle formation a possibility, is waiting at $152.37. That is the level of that cup and handle that needs to remain in place in order to sustain the momentum to the top. Windows on weekly graphs, always very important. There's a window waiting there between the 3rd of October and the week of the 26th of September, and that is waiting between $257.50 and $262.47. Now, a window can act as a magnet and pull the buyers higher, assuming there's enough buyers to close that window and that are interested in the share. But a window can also act as a resistance level, like we've seen on the S&P 500, that just can't close. There's just not enough buyers to take the share price to those levels and close that window. So it can either be a resistance, a very critical resistance that remains in place, which then highlights, listen, the sellers are stronger, they're keen to take profit, continue to take profit, and they actually just want to make use of every bounce to get rid of the share. Or the window can act as a magnet and say, listen, this is a possible target that has to close at some stage, because the rules around windows are they always get closed, right? And by closing, we mean that the price needs to trade within $257.50 and $262.47. The price needs to reach there and close that gap, which means it can act as a nice target for upside. Ian wanted us to look at JPMorgan. I mean, they are now the biggest bank in the US after their acquisition of First Republic. And my internet. JPMorgan Chase, the weekly graph. My MACD has turned the signal line into a resistance that is seen as negative, confirming the bearish trend towards JPMorgan is in place. My 40-week moving average is still a support, waiting at $129.80. But very important, I need to highlight this inverse cup and handle formation. I can either use the real body or the shadow, right? So let's just see how many touching points I get. If I extend this line, there you go. This is a better trend line. Waiting at $123.11. Assuming that level changes into a resistance, this inverse cup and handle formation can take JPMorgan back to these levels that we've seen in October last year. An inverse cup and handle formation is a negative formation. Some might even call this a double top. Why? Because that second loop is very close. That resistance is very close to the first one. It's not exactly the same level. That high, the first one is waiting at $144.04 and the second one is waiting at $143.37. Let's call it a double top formation because it's very, very close to one another. Double top, triple top formations, head and shoulders are for warning formations that should not be ignored. Only when the price starts to trade above this $143, $144 level will the warning of this formation be off the table. So at the moment, momentum to the bottom is clearly in place for the last 3 weeks. That week in the 1st of May, where they try to protect the share, we can see that with the long tail at the bottom, but not enough to take us through $143 and $144. So let's see what it does when it comes to the 40-week moving average. But this is a possible warning formation that will be confirmed when the share starts to trade $123.11 into a resistance. If you've got questions, please feel free to send us an email or reply to Twitter for any requests for next week's show. Have a fantastic week. Take care.